Hello and welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So I have another pen here from Pineider. Pineider have actually been around, as you can see here, in Firenze since 1774. Pineider have primarily been making paper and paper stock and cardstock for heads of state and royalty. They have made some pens, and more recently Dante Del Vecchio, who was the CEO and co-founder of Visconti, recently departed Visconti a couple of years ago and moved to Pineider, and has since started making pens at Pineider. So this is another Pineider pen that I have. I reviewed the La Grande Bellezza in the malachite. This is another La Grande Bellezza, but this is in the Rodalite. So let me just show you the box here. It's just a paper outer box, and this actually does just fall away and just almost disintegrate on you, and then you're left with this leatherette type box, triangular style box. And if I open this up, it's magnetic clasped on both sides. You get the Pineider logo here in this faux leather, and then here you get a Pineider logo here, and then you have the pen. And then there's several other things that you have here. So let me show you these briefly. These are basically the La Grande Bellezza collection, and this basically just tells you about the model, the twist magnetic lock, and just goes into other details here. We have the company profile, just talks about Pineider as a company. We also have the international limited warranty, and also instructions on how to fill. You have the ballpoint here. You have the fountain pens in various languages there. It's a cartridge converter, so I think most people tend to know how to fill a cartridge converter pen. I think if you're starting out in fountain pens, you probably don't know, but you probably won't be spending this much on a fountain pen. You also have this Pineider lovely sort of inscription here on the card. You also get these envelopes here. So you get 6 envelopes in various colours. So let me show you this. You have a cream one, and you get a card with it as well, a piece of cardstock. You have white, you have pink, you have a sort of a white with a grey edging to it here. You have a blue with a blue edging, and then you have this kind of like a grey green type one. So you have those as well, and that's also quite nice, so that you can actually get to sample some of the Pineider paper or cardstock. And then you have the pen here in its bed, and this is the La Grande Bellezza, and I'll show you this. It is quite a lovely pen. I think the green one actually looks better, the malachite, but this does actually have some very nice sort of red sort of hues and swirls going on here, almost like a brassy type effect, or rusty type effect going on in that body there, but it's not as pronounced as the malachite version that I have, but it still is a nice pen. So I think let's just show you the pen. So at the top here you have the Pineider logo etched here onto the cap finial. It's not magnetic like Visconti was. You have this lovely quail clip, and it's quill clip, and it's really supposed to really show the feathers on a quill. And the clip itself is actually quite springy, so very functional. The cap tapers up to the cap band here, and then the cap band is engraved there with Pineider, and then the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Now, I'm not a fan of that. I've mentioned this on my other Pineider video. I know it's a phrase that a lot of people will use because it tests every single letter of the alphabet when you're writing with a fountain pen, but it's not a phrase that I really use. I'd much rather write the pen name or the ink name. But I can understand why it was put there. But for me, that's something that put me off this pen for a while. Was I really just don't like having that saying there. But anyway, the body here tapers down slightly to the what would be the end cap, and the end cap is just plain. Now, if the cap here is magnetic, and I'll show you here that it does rotate when you let it snap into place. And if I take the cap off, you'll see that it has the quill nib. And this is a 14 karat gold nib, and this is a broad nib, and I do love how this writes. Now, unlike the medium nib, it doesn't have that much flex to it, and I did wonder, I wasn't too sure which one to go for, the medium or the broad, and because of the price of the pen had dropped so much, I decided I would get a medium and a broad. I do like the medium because it is quite flexible. The broad isn't that flexible, but it does write a lot wetter. Now, there is something here, I've mentioned this on the other review as well, that a lot of people don't like, is the chrome section here, because it can be quite slippery for some people. I do have other pens with chrome sections. I've not had issues with it. I have noticed my fingers slipping a little bit, but I think it's because this one tapers down more so, and then tapers back out into like an hourglass. I think that's why my fingers slip down a little bit, but they don't slip down onto the nib or the feed, which is good. So that is I wasn't really, this was another thing that I didn't really like about the design of this pen, but actually once you get to use it, I don't think it's an issue. Now, the other thing, just to show you, it is a cartridge converter pen. It is inscribed here with Pineider on the converter here. It's just a standard cartridge converter, nothing special. So it holds 0.7 milliliters of ink. The other thing to mention is also that because this is the second generation of the La Grande Bellezza, the first one would actually scratch the barrel or the body. So what they've done is actually made the cap opening a little bit wider. So the problem is the cap will not only rock, but when you have it in your hands and you start with like the clip up here at the top and you're writing, then the clip will rotate round. That's something to bear in mind if you are a poster. It will also rattle a little bit as you're writing with it. Now, for me, I'm not normally a poster. I can get away with this pen without posting it. I have found that I get a little bit of hand fatigue with this pen if I don't post it. But if I do put the post on or the cap on and post it, I don't have a problem. And I think it's just because I can allow the pen to have the back weight more, taking a little bit more weight off my hand, and I think that just helps a little bit more. So although I'm not normally a poster, I actually do prefer to post this pen, and obviously you have to be careful because obviously that cap does rotate. But other than that, it's a lovely pen, and it's a pen that I do like. I like the material, and if I zoom in here, you'll be able to see the material a little bit more closely. You can see here on the Rodalite version that that material is quite nice. It's very subtle, but it is there, so you can see it. It's just that it's quite a dark pen, so you don't see it massively until light catches it, and then you get some pearlescence going on there, or chatoyance. So that's really it for this pen. I think let's do a size check, a weight check, a comparison, and then a writing sample. So in terms of length, we are looking at around 140 millimeters long capped, and then the cap itself is about 65mm long. Now uncapped, from the tip of the tines, we are looking at around about 125mm. So it's not quite. Normally, I would say around 130mm for a oversized pen. So it's not really an oversized pen. Let's do a weight check on it. This is fully inked, so we're looking at just under 40 grams for the whole pen. Just under 15.5 grams for the cap, and just under 23 grams when fully inked. So it's not a bad weight of a pen. It's quite a good weight. So I think let's do a pen comparison. So left to right, we have the Trisbee Diamond 580 AL, the Pelikan M800 Royal Gold Rawdon, the Pelikan M1000, the Visconti Opera Silver Dust, the Visconti Van Gogh Pollard Willows, the Pineider La Grande Bellezza in the Rodalite finish, the Visconti Homo Sapiens Bronze Swirl, the Visconti Homo Sapiens London Fog, the Visconti Opera Master Luna, the Goulet edition, and the Armando Simone Club Bologna Extra Arco Verde. So let's do a writing sample. So this is the Pineider La Grande Bellezza, and this is a 14 carat, and this is the broad nib. So this is inked up with diamine, oxblood, which strangely enough is an ink that I've had in my collection for a long time and I really don't use, and I don't know why, because I'm actually starting to like this colour now. So in terms of the line variation, it's a broad nib, so you're going to get a broad sort of almost stub like, but you can push the nib more because it is a 14 carat. I wouldn't over push it, but you're not going to get as much line variation as you would, say, from the extra fine, the fine, or the medium nibs. And then if you do a figure of 8, you can see here that there isn't an awful amount of line variation going on here. So with the broads and the stubs, like the stubs, you're going to see more stubbish like, so you're going to see line variation without pushing the nib. With the broad, you're really not getting a lot here. But let's do a wetness test here. And this does put down quite a wetter line. But again, these pens are not that overly wet. They are very nice writers, but they really don't. They're not gushing or fire hose nibs, but they do write quite nicely. They write very smooth. I do like the 14 karat gold nibs. I do think Dante is onto something here with these quill nibs. They are consistently, at least with the two nibs that I have here, good writers. Now, obviously, that might be different in a grander scale of things when you test a lot more nibs. But for me, on the medium and broad nibs, both of these nibs write extremely well. I've got the medium in the malachite version, and I have the broad here in the Rodolite version. So for me, I do like these pens. Are they worth the full MSRP? I think the MSRP may be a little bit high for them, considering that they are resin pens, but they are very good writers. So it really depends on what you want to spend on a pen. But for me, the sale price for these pens, I think these were bargains. So I picked these up from Chatterley, and they had a flash sale going on. So if you like these pens, shop around, maybe check out Chatterley Luxuries, see what deal you can pick up on these. but I do like these Pineiders. I have to say that they are, I think, going to be some very good workhorse pens for me. And they're not the best pens in my collection, but they're not the worst pens. They are, I think, some pretty good consistent writing pens that I will be using day to day. So I think it will be interesting to see what Dante comes out with in the future. I think he's onto something with these 14-karat quill nibs. I'd like to see more from Dante at Pineider, and I think we will see some more from him. And hopefully he'll get back into his roots and start showing some really good design pens like we saw at Visconti. So thanks for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye bye.